My mom spent my whole childhood demanding I give her grandsons, so I made sure she spent her final years in prison. Growing up, my parents never hid their disappointment that they had 6 daughters. Every time Mom looked at us, I could see it in her eyes, the failure we represented. Dad would joke at family dinners about how he kept trying for a boy until the money ran out, and everyone would laugh, except we all knew we were unwanted consolation prizes. When I got my first period at 12, Mom sat me down in the kitchen with this serious look on her face. I thought she was going to explain what was happening to my body, maybe comfort me. Instead, she grabbed my hands and said, "When you find a husband, make sure he has brothers, lots of brothers. Men from big families make sons." I just nodded, not even sure what I was agreeing to. From that moment on, every boy I dated got the same interrogation from my parents. How many siblings? How many brothers? I dated this one guy in college who had 4 brothers, and Mom actually smiled at me for once. "Good stock," she said, like we were breeding mares. Then I met Fred. Fred was kind, patient, and made me laugh until my stomach hurt. He was also an only child. When I brought him home, Mom's face went flat. "Only child?" she repeated. "Well, I suppose we'll see what happens." We got married anyway, and I convinced myself things would change. Then I got pregnant. We decided to do a gender reveal party because Fred's family was excited. When Fred popped the balloon and pink confetti exploded everywhere, his parents cheered and hugged us. My parents stood up without a word and walked straight out the front door. Mom didn't call for 3 months, didn't answer when I tried reaching her. I gave birth to my daughter Alice, with only my husband in the delivery room and his parents in the waiting room. Then 18 months later, I got pregnant again. When the ultrasound showed a boy, suddenly my phone was ringing. Mom was crying, saying she was sorry, saying she wanted to be part of our lives. I believed her because I wanted to. When my son Evan was born, my parents transformed into different people. They visited constantly, brought gifts, offered to babysit, but the gifts were always for Evan. The attention was always for my son. Alice would show Grandma her drawings, and Mom would glance at them for half a second before turning back to coo over her brother. 2 weeks before my life blew up, I came home to find 4-year-old Alice alone in the backyard while my parents were inside with Evan. Alice had been out there for over an hour in the July heat, and her shirt was coated in sweat. She wanted to play outside, Mom said, shrugging. We could see her from the window, but that's a lie. They couldn't see the backyard from where they'd been sitting. I should have banned them from visiting ever again, right then and there. I wish I had, but I also don't know if it would have changed what happened. I came home early from a doctor's appointment. The babysitter's car wasn't there, but my parents' car was in the driveway. I walked inside calling for the kids and found Mom and Dad in the living room. Mom was cradling Evan while Dad made funny faces at him. "Where's Alice?" I asked. Mom didn't even look up. "Oh, she kept saying she was hungry and interrupting us with Evan. We put her in the kitchen with some crackers to keep her busy." I walked toward the kitchen. Then I realized the house was too quiet. I pushed open the door. The first thing I saw was the overturned step stool. Then Alice's pink light-up shoes, motionless on the tile. Then a Windex bottle on its side, bright blue liquid pooling across the floor. My parents had been cleaning earlier, and they left a bottle of Windex right there on the counter. Alice must have climbed up looking for something to drink because her sippy cup was empty. She probably thought the pretty blue liquid was juice. My daughter was on the floor, white foam spilling from her lips, her eyes wide open and staring at nothing. I screamed so loud the neighbors heard me. I dropped to my knees, shaking her, begging her to wake up. My parents walked in slowly, Mom still holding Evan like nothing was wrong. "She's probably just faking for attention," Mom said, annoyed. She always was dramatic like that. I called 911 with hands I couldn't control. "Get out of my house!" I screamed at them. I grabbed Evan from my mother's arms. The paramedics arrived in 8 minutes. It wasn't fast enough. Alice was pronounced dead at the hospital 45 minutes later. I filed a police report that same night. My parents were arrested at their home the next morning. At their court hearing, Mom kept sighing like this was all an inconvenience. Their lawyer argued it was a tragic accident, that they couldn't have known a 4-year-old would get into cleaning chemicals. But when Mom took the stand, she said, "Your Honor, they still have their son. That's what matters most." The entire courtroom went silent. The judge removed her glasses and stared at my mother for a long moment. "In my 23 years on this bench," she said, "I have never witnessed such callous disregard for a child's life." She sentenced both my parents to the maximum allowed, criminal negligence resulting in death. They'll die in prison. I buried my daughter on a Thursday morning.